Hey everybody, it's Paige Evans, and it's been a year since the last time I flipped through my layout stack, so I've got a new batch to flip through. There's only 80 this time. I guess I've been working on other things this past year, like mini albums, that memory decks project, cards, and other things. But 80 layouts in a year, that's still pretty cool, pretty good. All right, so let's flip through them. Alrighty, let's dive right in. I've divided the pile of 80 layouts into two, so there's 40 in this stack, and then I'll bring out the other 40. So this layout is using my Horizon collection, and it's a free cut file that I gave away over on the Scrapbook and Cards Today website. So I backed the title with pattern papers from Horizon. This is one of the very first layouts that I created with Horizon. This is probably my favorite paper in the whole collection, and it only uses two pieces of pattern paper. I distressed the edges of one and then placed it over another piece of the same paper, did a little embellishing tone on tone. I made this layout for shimmers, so I used their sprays and mists to cover a piece of white cardstock, and then cut out a whole bunch of hearts and layered them together. So I love the texture and all the different layers on this layout. This layout was made for the spring 2019 issue of Scrapbook and Cards Today. Again, it features a large title and then just embellished with a few flowers from Whimsical. Save those barcode strips at the bottom of your pattern papers. So these border strips were all made with the barcode strips from the bottom of the Horizon pattern papers, and then I just layered them up and cut it into this heart shape. This is a throwback. This layout was made using Turn the Page, and I actually dipped these hexagons into embossing powder, so it's gold embossed powder with some different textures going on in the background. Stadium High School, where, what's that movie? 10 Things I Hate About You was filmed here in Seattle. It's really fun to visit. I love making this type of page with every one of my collections. It's zigzag. You know, I cut up the papers into triangles, arranged them into rainbow order, distressed them, stitched over them, embellished tone on tone. This layout was really fun to make. It's again using Horizon, but I only used a few colors. The collection has a rainbow of colors, but I just pulled some pinks, purples, and blues to create this page. I hand stitched this large title using a chain stitch so it creates lots of texture. Here's a rainbow layout with layered flowers. This is one of my cut files, so I went through all of my pink paisley collections and pulled out tints, tones, and shades of all the different colors to make these flowers. I love a monochromatic layout. So obviously this one's yellow, so I found all of the yellow things that I could in Horizon and then backed this butterfly background cut file. Hey, again, another monochromatic layout, although I did add a few pops of blue. So this is a sunburst cut file. I layered all of the different concentric sunbursts together, distressed the edges, added stitching, and then just a few clusters of embellishments. A large sequin title. So this was fun to make. And then I hand stitched over the sequins to make sure they stay in place forever. Using Horizon, purple hair don't care. So I hand stitched and machine stitched these butterfly trails through these butterflies, all from Horizon. This layout, this was made for Joann's when I did a little bit of collaborating with them. So again, it's about the texture and layers. So you start with the background and then build your way up using, well, there's modeling paste, watercolors, gesso, and then the layered pattern papers and hand stitching. So you get lots of different kinds of textures. This was the very first layout that I made with Horizon, and I always like to include a pattern paper with a bunch of different patterns on a single piece of paper. So that's what it is here. It's just made from one piece of pattern paper, and then I chose this painterly background for ultimate color, ultimate pops of color. There's cute Jane. This layout, I fussy cut all of these flowers and then glued them in place on this dark blue background and popped them up with dimensional adhesive. So this layout has lots of texture. Kept it very simple, hardly any embellishing, just the photo and the title because I want the flowers to be the focus. So I love big titles, as you can probably tell going through this layout stack. So this is what I like to call the peekaboo technique, where I die cut the large title, I hand stitched around the edges using a chain link stitch, and then I tucked the flowers into the letters only on one side, so it's kind of only on the left side of the letters, so they peekaboo. I love rolling pattern paper. One of my favorite techniques, or one of my favorite things about scrapbooking, is including a whole bunch of different pattern papers on a single page, and using rolled paper tubes is a great way to add lots and lots of pattern papers. So here I used Horizon and created the tubes into an S for summer. Again, another great way to feature lots of pattern papers on one page is to create these origami stars. So once you start making one, you can't stop. And so I tried to include as many of the stars that I made as possible, and a great way to feature them is to put them into a wreath, and then I machine stitched over them so they stay in place permanently. A grid layout is a really good way to go when you're stuck for inspiration. If you divide the page into different sections and then you fill each section with just little bits and pieces or a photo. So this was made with Horizon. For National Scrapbook Day, over at Scrapbooking Cards today, I gave away this cut file and had fun backing it. So that's one of the techniques I also love to do often, is backing cut files. And I love to create flower wreaths. So with every collection, I like to create a wreath using the flowers that come in that collection. So this is the Horizon version. Large titles on repeat. So love, love, love. And this was made using Whimsical. And then I put 2 photos inside the O's, and they're shaped the same as the O. You could add another photo here too if you have 3 photos that you want to feature. This is using one of my sketch and stitch cut files. So first the silhouette draws the design and then it pokes the holes for you so that you don't have to spend your time poking all the holes. It's ready to be stitched. So I used ombre thread, ombre blue thread, and a chain stitch to stitch this globe. And I do have a separate tutorial on YouTube for this one. Backed a large title. This is one of the first layouts that I made with Horizon. And again, backing large titles is a great way to feature lots of pattern papers. This was made using the exclusive project pad with Horizon found in Joann stores. So one of the papers has all of these geometric petals of pattern paper, so I fussy cut them out and then arranged them to look like leaves. I also love the project pad because it includes a whole bunch of different solid pieces of paper that match the Horizon collection perfectly. This is using the new Indigo and Ivy collection with pink paisley and one of my cut files, so I watercolored over it and then did some embellishing here and there. This is using Whimsical and one of my cut files and a flower explosion. As I'm going through these layouts, I see things that get a little crooked, so I have to go back through and attach things with better adhesive. But anyway, this was made for a guest design spot with Hip Kit Club. They used a lot of my Horizon collection in one of their kits, and this stencil is one that I designed exclusively for these kits. So I had a lot of fun doing tone on tone and texture. This is a layout that I made for Joann, and again, it's the peekaboo technique and a large title, but this time I used flowers and stickers that come in the 20-page sticker book that I have with Pink Paisley that came out last year. So this layout uses Whimsical, and again, one of the pattern papers has a whole bunch of different patterns on one page, and so I punched them into different sizes of butterflies and layered them up and then cascaded them across this background. Love rainbows. So this is one of my cut files. I backed it with a rainbow of pattern papers. This is from Whimsical. See, crooked cloud. Gotta fix things before I put them away. And yeah, I toned down the background a little bit with gesso, especially here at the bottom, so that the rainbow will pop off. This was a guest design layout for Coco and Reno, so all of these layered dies are by them, and then I used Horizon to embellish. We Are Memory Keepers came out with the foil quill, and I have a USB drive with a whole bunch of designs on it, and so I used the flowers from my USB and a bunch of different colors of foil to create these flowers, so you can see they're super shiny and colorful. So it's a really cool new tool. Same idea as the layout that I just showed. This one I made first. It's using my Pick Me Up collection. So again, from the paper that has all of the different patterns on it, punched different sizes of butterflies and then cascaded them across the page. So it's like they're taking flight. The specialty paper in the Whimsical collection is this bend up flower background. So it comes, hold on a second, string. So it comes already pre-cut, and all you have to do is bend up the petals and the leaves, and then you create a super dimensional, really interactive and fun layout in no time. So then I filled in the gaps and empty spaces with the rub-ons from Whimsical, and there's kind of an empty space right here, which is a perfect spot for a photo. Instead of a floral wreath, this one is a floral heart, using an entire package of flowers from Whimsical. This is the Indigo and Ivy collection with Pink Paisley and one of my cut files. Welcome to colorful Colorado. It's been almost exactly a year since we moved here, so that was fun to document. Another guest design layout for shimmers. So every month I make a cut file for the Missy kits, and then I've been using it too. So I gessoed the heart first and then added the shimmers, and I like how it's shiny from every angle. You'll find this layout using Vicki Boutin's collection in the summer 2019 issue of Scrapbooking Cards Today. Also the cut file, which you can download, and the title is Everything is Awesome. This layout is also in the summer 2019 issue, and it features my layered sunburst cut file. Again, monochromatic, kind of. I used salmon, orange, and yellow. So by limiting my color palette, I was able to just pick and choose things from my collections to create this layout. And the last layout in this stack, Christmas in July, right? So I made this for the Silhouette blog featuring my snowflake frame cut file. If you can see, there's glitter glue on the snowflakes, and then I embellished with a crepe paper Christmas collection with a photo right in the center, so it's the focus of the page. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and grab the next stack of 40 layouts. Moving right along. So this layout was made with the Pick Me Up collection, and what I love about collections is how you can pick and choose colors. So Pick Me Up has a lot of darker colors, dark blue, dark green, dark purple, but I only pulled the lighter, brighter pastel colors to create this summer layout. Again, I like doing a lot of texture, so starting on the background with modeling paste and then finishing with hand stitching. This is a layout that I taught how to make in Canada at the Crop and Create in Winnipeg, so I hand cut these hearts from the pattern paper in Whimsical with all the different patterns on it, and then even cut the photos into hearts. This was a guest design layout for Altenew. Divided the page into 4 quadrants and then embellished tone on tone in each section after scraping modeling paste through their stencils. I had a blast making these teeny tiny rolled paper flowers. You can find all of these rolled paper flowers in Etsy and Silhouette, and I made them as tiny as I could and rolled them up and then created this layout with them. This is one of my cut files. It's fall and the letters are filled with leaves. Used my Pick Me Up collection. Large title at an angle. This layout was on the cover of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, the spring 2019 issue, so it's probably the only 8.5 by 11 size layout that I've made in years, but it was fun to make, and I used my whimsical collection and made it very springy with lots of flowers and butterflies. More flowers using whimsical, and this is a large version of the peekaboo technique, so it's one shape, a large heart, and then I tucked in a package of floral die cuts into the left side. I love using all of the thickers from all my collections, so you've got Fancy, Free, Take Me Away, Oh My Heart, Turn the Page, I'm blanking, Pick Me Up, Whimsical, and Horizon. So all of the thickers are on here. That was fun to make, a large title. Here's another guest design layout for Altenew. So I cut these circles from the pattern papers and then folded the edges over to create these diamonds. So there's lots of texture going on. One of the pattern papers in Whimsical is just stripes, stripes in a rainbow of colors. So I cut those up and punched them into scalloped borders and stitched them down this page for a super colorful rainbowy layout. This layout was made for my Pages 17 or 18 class at Big Picture Classes, and it was about backing a cut file, which again is something that I love to do. This was also made for that same Pages class about texture. So this is one pattern paper that I cut up and heavily distressed and then glued back together. So it creates lots of really interesting texture. This was made for the Silhouette blog. So I used my layered flower cut file and then cut flowers from monochromatic cardstocks and layered them together to create this floral background. Paper pinwheels. I love creating paper pinwheels, again, because it's a great way to feature lots of pattern papers on one page. So once I started, I couldn't stop. I love how the pattern changes when you wrap it into a circle. So it's cool to make. Cool and fun. This was a layout that I made for the scrapbook.com YouTube channel using their very own inks and ink daubers. So you can find the tutorial over there. This was for the Pink Paisley blog, so I backed one of my floral frame cut files using the Whimsical collection. This is a blast from the past. So exactly a year ago, the day before I moved to Colorado, I taught a class with the Scrap Gals in Seattle, and this is one of the layouts that I taught how to make. And we're back to Christmas in July. So again, this was made for the Silhouette blog, and I was featuring my cut and bend cut file. So it only partially cuts out the design, and then you take some time to bend up all of the little pieces. And it's gotten a little bit smushed, but not completely. So that's why I'm okay with creating layouts like this, because even when they do get smushed, you're still able to see the dimension, because they will never go back flat all the way. Here's another guest design layout, and I'm using my Whimsical collection. This was made for the Silhouette blog. I was doing a tutorial of how to back a cut file using the Cameo, so not fussy cutting, but having the machine cut out the inner pieces for you. Another Silhouette blog layout, and it's the same technique. I wanted to share how you can have your machine cut the pieces for backing instead of spending time fussy cutting. And this layout puts me in the mood for Halloween. Is it October yet? So this is like a wintry layout made using my whimsical collection, which is so not Christmas themed, but by picking and choosing colors and embellishments, you can make any of my collections fit lots and lots of different themes, even Christmas. This was a layout made for Joanne, and I used one of the die cuts with a view paper stacks and one of my cut files to create this branches Christmas tree. This was made for one of the issues of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, and it's fun to divide a page like this into triangles and then embellishing the sections. Here's an all-to-new guest design layout using their stamps and dies. This was a fun experimental layout. These are felt flowers, so I was able to run felt through my manual die cut machine and then layered up the pieces to create this page. Again, a great way to use those barcode strips that come at the bottom of your pattern papers. You can arrange them into a large star shape. This is using Pick Me Up collection with Pink Paisley. This was made again for scrapbook.com, and it's featuring a collection by Amy Tangerine and their brushes. So I used brushes to dab on the colors of ink onto the background and then fill in the floral die cut background. This layout I made last summer. It's using a Heidi Swap collection and one of my cut files. So it cut out the butterflies and then I cut out the design once again and put the butterflies on top. Again, it has gotten a little smushed, but I can just bend up the flowers again and it'll be all good. Here, this layout was made for Pink Fresh Studio using their watercolors. So I watercolored over one of my floral cut files, and that was almost all of the embellishing it needed. Just a title and a few enamel dots, and that finished it up. This was made using my Pick Me Up collection, and I created 3 large layered flowers. This was for I'm just forgetting because it's been so long, but one of the issues of Scrapbook and Cards Today magazine, one of the things we love to do when we visit my dad is visit him at work at Google. It's fun to do the tone-on-tone technique, and it's really easy to do when you divide a shape into sections and then you just fill each section with a different color. Using Pick Me Up, and I hand cut this large title. I think I taught how to make this layout somewhere once upon a time. Using Pick Me Up and border punches, I layered them in rainbow order, and then I also, before adhering them down, I spritzed the pattern papers with water so they got really crunchy and textural. Here's another grid layout. So again, by dividing it into different sections and embellishing one section at a time, the layout came together quickly and easily. This was another experiment with a sketch and stitch cut file. So the machine drew the flower and then it poked the holes, and then I did hand stitching with white embroidery floss. I used all 6 strands for the most texture, and I did a chain link stitch. All right, here's the last layout. This was made for Scrapbook and Cards Today, and that whimsical paper with the rainbow, I cut it into the different colors, fringed them, and then used it to back this cut file that says "Love You Tons." Thank you so much for joining me as I've flipped through a year's worth of layouts. I hope you found 1 or 2 or several things to inspire you in your scrapbooking, and I will see you again in another year.